thrilled to have Dawn Mealy and Hannah Mercer with us tonight for our Wellness Wednesday. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
It's my pleasure. So I would like to introduce you both. So Dawn, I'm going to start with you. So Dawn has over 2 decades of experience in the mental health field. And I just learned that we share a common link. We both were at the way station in Frederick.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I did my occupational therapy internship, my fieldwork placement there. So I have a love in my heart for community mental health. So that's cool that we have that connection. We hadn't learned that before.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So after the way station, you were at Shepherd Pratt as the program director for mobile treatment and the geriatric service team.
Correct.
And we're at the emergency department at both Carroll Hospital and Frederick Memorial Hospital. You've been a licensed clinical social worker since 1988 and worked in private practice since 95. So you have recently opened a new business called Mission Wellness, with a focus on whole person wellness, with also a deep understanding that health and wellness is not a one size fits all action plan. So we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. So welcome, Dawn.
Thank you.
And Hannah Mercer. So Hannah, and forgive me for misrepresenting you on social media and saying that you had an MA when it's actually an MS. So master's in science. What is your undergrad in?
So I did clinical counseling. So I sit for boards within 2 weeks, actually, to be a licensed graduate professional counselor. So I'm in that process. Yeah. So I just graduated like 6 months ago. So
congratulations. So good luck with the next step. So you did clinical counseling for graduate school. And what did you do? What did you study before that? Were you in psychology?
Yes. Yep. So that's what my undergrad's in from Towson University.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Great.
And I actually interned with Dawn, which is how I first met Dawn, at the Counseling Center for Change. So I was her student initially before we decided to open Mission Wellness.
Awesome. I bet Dawn is glad that you walked in her doors.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because you both came from kind of a holistic background. You're working currently at ProMD Health as the director of hormone replacement therapy, and you specialize in all natural hormones and supplementation, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, great. So happy Mental Health Awareness Month. This is the reason you are here. So thank you both for being here for this conversation. And just like to get to know you a little bit better. Well, let me first explain how we know each other. So a mutual friend introduced Dawn and I, and thought that we have similar focus on the way we see health and wellness. And so we had a conversation, and you talked to me about this Mission Wellness. And so I'm part of Mission Wellness as the yoga instructor. So I'm thrilled to be part of your team. So we're just kind of getting to know each other too. So this conversation will help me and help us get to know each other better as well. So Dawn, you've been doing this for a couple decades. I won't tell your age, but
Thank you.
Age doesn't matter. It's all how we feel. So what drove you to pursue a career in mental health in the first place?
So when I was in undergraduate school at Frostburg State College, once upon a time, one of my very first classes was in casework, social work casework. And I became very interested in the clinical aspect of casework, not just the case manager role, but the psychology piece and the clinical piece. So I knew pretty early on, I knew right away that I wanted to, dedicate my career to helping people. And it was a done deal. Really, the first semester I was there. And from there I took a bunch of psych classes as well as social work classes. And I really think that social work is a broader perspective. It looks at the whole person in their environment. And so I went that track versus the psychology track, and then went to grad school, first at University of Maryland School of Social Work, and then transferred to Virginia Commonwealth University, and finished up there. And I was really fortunate to be given the opportunity to participate in a field placement, a fellowship really, working in the clubhouse model, which at the time was revolutionary in the rehab world for the chronic mentally ill. So I was specifically trained, and I got a job right out of grad school at Westminster, because they were doing the clubhouse model. That was the rage back in the 80s. So there I worked with people with severe and persistent chronic mental illness, needed a lot of support. The environment. They have a day program, residential rehab, and crisis intervention, and it's they had a mental health clinic as well, and it was a wraparound kind of program to really help people, support them in the community, versus people being hospitalized for extended periods of time.
Right.
So yeah, that was my early on dedication.
Right. I loved the clubhouse model. It really meshed very well with occupational therapy. And I also pursued social work and psychology undergrad, but then went down the OT route. But at the clubhouse model, it was about doing and not just, I like to sit and talk too, but it was about taking action, and the members ran the place, cooked the meals and did the cleaning, and we took field trips. I worked in the crisis house. So, and then when I worked in Scotland, I did the clubhouse model there too, as well, so that they're all over the world.
Yeah. It was quite the new thing then.
Yeah.
Very empowering for people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Hannah, did you know early on that you wanted to help people? What was your path?
So I actually started in nursing school initially before I finished my bachelor's degree. And I worked at a company called Skills of Central Pennsylvania with it's adults who have disabilities, and they're all in almost like a group home setting. So I had worked there for 3 years while I was in undergrad, and really got to work with individuals who live there and kind of help them with not only like their daily activities, but also anything that they had as far as like having trouble communicating and expressing their emotions, because a lot of them were nonverbal. So it kind of intrigued me into more of this psychology role, which is why, when I finished, it really made me feel good. I got to know their families. I worked with them every day, and you start building, those relationships with those individuals. And so I went down the counseling path, and I just knew that I always wanted to continue to help people in any way that I could. And I was fortunate enough to get into Dawn's private practice, which gave me a lot of experience as far as pre-surgery psychological evaluations, as well as like the one-on-one counseling, and also group counseling, which is really cool. But I think Dawn and I kind of drove that path home with Mission Wellness, because where I do work at PromD Health is all about making people feel better, as well as, feel good, look good model. So they're very on top of supplementation to help raise, clients' vitamin Ds, vitamin Bs, helping with mood and things like that. So it's kind of something more about wellness there that I feel like kind of helped kind of cross paths as well. So we could help people feel better without it being so focused on diagnosing and things like that, which is really cool. It's another outlet. It's like an alternative model.
Right. So tell the audience how Mission Wellness was born.
Well,
So,
Dawn.
so, I've been on the treatment side of mental health. And, I really have come to a place of wanting to shift more of my focus to prevention, not just diagnosis and treatment, but prevention and education. If we can prevent some of these things from happening or reduce the severity of people's issues, I think that's a tremendous contribution to make. And it's something I've wanted to do for a very long time. And I hatched this in my head many years ago, but the timing wasn't right. And things happen for a reason when they happen. And Hannah shows up on the scene, and she's very much like-minded in terms of the preventative model and the holistic model and the whole person kind of model. So this is a nice shift. And I've seen the power of counseling and medication and treatment, and not everybody wants that path. There are people that are looking for alternatives. And in my role as a therapist, I'm pretty limited in what I can do per my licensing requirements. So this gives me the opportunity to step out of that treatment role and do more education and really kind of offer something different that I think is enormously needed and helpful to people. So that was my why. And then Hannah showed up at my door asking me, take me as a student, please. And yeah, she was very assertive. But there was something about Hannah that I was like, I want to have this student. So yeah. So we connected, and we really do have the same kind of philosophy about this.
Yeah.
There's more to helping people than the traditional treatment model offers.
Yeah. And this is why our mutual connection connected us, because we're both on the same path, focusing on prevention. And for me, it's brain wellness and dementia prevention, because when my mom was diagnosed with dementia, back in probably early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of information out there about what to do. There were some drugs that they prescribed that even when they prescribed it, they said, well, it doesn't really help that much for very long. It might help some symptoms short term.
Right.
But, science has really come really far. And now we know there are ways to reverse dementia and prevent for people who are concerned that this, afraid that might be in their future. So thank you for moving on the prevention model and for focusing that and sharing that as knowledge across the board. Yeah. So again, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is something you're obviously both passionate about. And I know you can't provide specific medical advice for anyone, but if you were going to provide general mental health advice, do you have some top 3 things, or you have a list we could share?
Well, Hannah, do you want to take a stab at that, or I can?
Yeah, so I think as far as mental health goes, it's different for every individual. And I think everyone can kind of handle that in different ways, right? So we're looking at the most positive ways, which I think is, first, finding what works for you. So whether that's exercise, which like we were talking about earlier, Laurel, you offer yoga. It's very relaxing. It kind of takes those stressors off. Or there's other things activities that you can get involved in. It's pretty much anything that helps you reduce that stress and kind of calm your mind, or a change of direction can be very positive. So like, I know we also at one point were offering vision boards, which kind of help you look at your entire life, but also the emotional aspect and helping you express your feelings and things like that. Sometimes keeping things bottled up isn't the best way to cope. So I think it's super important for people not to be afraid to express how they feel, even if that's not always through words. You know, there's other ways that we can relieve that. And I think that that's something that's super important and definitely helps everyone's mental health, even if that's, you know, through animals. I have horses, and just going out to the barn in the morning or taking a walk is another thing that's super positive, and it kind of just calms your soul, you know? So I think finding those things that you truly love is important, and taking time for them, you know, schedule it. I tell my clients at work all the time, you know, your health is just as important, and we all have very busy everyday lives, but schedule that for yourself, make that time, you know, put it on your calendar. And if people ask, you don't have to explain why. Say you have an appointment, and make sure that you take care of you. So that's a little bit of my insight.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that, you know, the fundamentals are so important for your mental health. You know, starting with sleep. That's one of the first things I want to know. How are you sleeping? Are you getting good sleep? Because you can't function. You can't cope with all of the demands that life brings and stressors and adversities when you're not getting good sleep. And that can be a real trouble spot. And it's actually, you know, you probably know this, Laurel, that's one of the things that they're saying is perhaps a precursor to developing dementia. Not getting good sleep or enough sleep is a risk factor. So, we top 2-3 things would be sleep, nutrition, and how are you managing your stress? And do you have good supports?
Right.
These are the things that they're just paramount.
Excellent. The first Friday conversation on coming up first Friday in June is going to be about building your team, because we can't do this alone, right?
Right.
So you all are part of a team, and there's quite a few people that you have with you on Mission Wellness. Do you have anything in particular that would be available if people are interested in either? I know right now you're mostly or maybe exclusively virtual. Anything that you would like to share that you have as offerings?
Except for the hike that we did a Mother's Day hike up at Hashawa with a nature specialist. She's actually, I think she's the president of the Maryland Women's Hiking Association. This woman loves to hike, but she does more than just take people on hikes. She engages in a Japanese type of forest bathing or mindfulness experience, which is extremely beneficial to your mental health and your physical health too. And so, but for her, everything else is virtual, and Hannah will talk about those activities.
Yeah, so we actually offer yoga with Laurel on Mondays. So that's something that we have going on every Monday if you'd like to sign up. We're also going to start some exercise classes where she'll kind of go over, teaching you ways to exercise, as well as then you will try it with her. Her name is Liz Dumont, and that is starting June 5th. And then something that we're offering for free, which I think might be a good thing for a lot of our audience, is a seminar on preventing a shrinking brain. Dawn and I will be offering that at 6 p.m. on June the 16th. So if you'd like to sign up, you can reach out to Laurel, and we can give you our admin, Emily, her information to do so. But that would be something that you could register for. And then coming up will be another group called the Beck Diet Solution, which focuses a lot on nutrition, as well as kind of helps with weight loss. And that we're thinking will start back up in September. We have a group going on right now, but it's closed. So that's some things that we have coming up, if anyone's interested.
Okay, awesome. I'll bring this up again at the end, but since you mentioned signing up for things, how can people find you? What is your website?
So our website is mission-wellness.com, and you can go on there, and there's a place that you can just register with your email, and then our admin will contact you. Our office line is also on the website, so you can, email, call, anything that works for you will be good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Something
So,
else that
yes.
Hannah is going to be offering are wellness assessments. So you can begin your journey to wellness by doing an assessment. And we have a mini assessment tool on our website, but a more comprehensive assessment. Hannah is offering to do that with people, looking at the different domains of wellness, mind, body, spirit, areas of wellness. And depending on how that assessment turns out, you may learn that you're strong in some areas of your wellness, but maybe not in some other areas, and that you maybe want to work on enhancing your wellness in a particular area. And then we can direct you to the programs that we're offering to help you achieve that.
Great. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So that's the first thing that comes up when you go onto the website. So that's easy to find, but it sounds like there's a more detailed health assessment that you provide as well, Hannah. So
Yes.
good. Thank you for sharing that. So June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. And I know, Dawn, that you have a particular interest and involvement in this area. Would you be willing to share any more about that?
Sure. Well, like you, I have a personal story of having experienced a family member who passed from Alzheimer's disease, my mother-in-law, who was very near and dear to us. She was just a lovely person who, developed the diagnosis, and it was very hard for my father-in-law to kind of come to terms with it and accept, there's a problem. I'm connected to different psychiatrists who refer patients to me with mild cognitive impairment to my private practice. And so we sent my mother-in-law to see her, and sure enough, it was confirmed that she had Alzheimer's disease. And, we watched her descent, and it was horrifying. It was just so sad to watch this person, this vibrant, loving person, kind of, transcend into the state of just a shell of a person. So we became wanting to do something more about this. It's nothing like being affected before, you really get to see what these things can do. And that can motivate you to want to be a part of, a solution or help in some way. So we became involved with the Alzheimer's Association, and we actually did a fundraising gala, a black tie gala called the Forget-Me-Not Gala. That was named that because my mother-in-law's favorite flowers were forget-me-nots. So we hosted a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association for Research, my husband and I. And that then led into other things developing. I was asked to be a part of a nonprofit, be on the board of YES, which is Young Onset Dementia. And we're providing education, and I do a monthly group along with the founder of YES, for males whose wives or partners have young onset disease. So we're doing that. We're doing fundraising efforts also, and a lot of education, and Also, we are providing services to children and teenagers whose mother or father has developed young onset dementia. And that is really growing. I mean, we are getting people from all over wanting support and help and education. So those are the things, one thing leads to another. And that's kind of it's the club that you don't want to join, but you find yourself there and then you become passionate about it and really want to make a difference.
Right. Right. This is where we both connect on the prevention side, because
Absolutely.
they see now that brain changes occur, 20 years before symptoms show up. So if we can help people by educating, in their 30s and 40s and 50s, maybe that mild cognitive impairment or dementia, Alzheimer's will never present at all. So that's of course our great hope.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hannah, you already mentioned an offering in June that really does focus on that. It's going to be free. Can you say that again?
Yes, so it will be held June 16th at 6 p.m. It's going to be free. And the topic of that seminar, which will be a 1-hour seminar, is called Preventing a Shrinking Brain. And Dawn and I will talk about, the early signs and symptoms, helping people become aware, and also ways to prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. So we're super excited about it, and we hope to see people there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There goes my chair partner who de-stresses me. Now he's going to go do yoga on the yoga mat back there. So you mentioned groups, and I did not focus on this earlier, but I think it's really your specialty area. You're both really skilled at running groups. Dawn, that's something you've been doing for a long time. As I've sort of shifted into health coaching and functional medicine, I'm working with people to try to make behavior change. And sometimes that's really challenging. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be my referral source when people really struggle to take action, and whatever is preventing their action. So you do groups to kind of help people. Would you explain any of those groups a little bit for us?
So I've been doing cognitive behavioral therapy groups for a couple of decades now. And really that's the missing ingredient. That's where we understand, that what's going on. Oftentimes, it's not even a conscious thing, but we figure out what's going on behind the scenes that's getting in the way of, doing the things that we say we want and need. And I call it stinking thinking. So I've been teaching a group called 11 Weeks to Self-Esteem, which comes from the work of Dr. David Burns, who is a world-renowned psychiatrist who wrote the book Feeling Good back in the 1980s. And he's just an amazing teacher and mentor, has been for many years to me. So I use his work a lot in helping people to really understand what's going on. And the same thing in the Beck Diet Solution. It's a nutrition education, but it's also heavily weighted on cognitive behavioral therapy. And that comes from Dr. Judith Beck from the Beck Institute. So these are the giants in the mental health field that really help us to help people make behavior change and really understand the sabotaging negative self-talk that's going on that most people aren't even aware that they're doing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, if someone was interested in a group like that, do they have to be local near Westminster, Maryland, or is that something that's virtual as well? Everything
we're doing is virtual, except for the hikes. Mm-hmm. And I actually have a group going right now. And I have someone from Australia who's in my group. I have some people from California, New York, Rhode Island. the wonderful thing about telehealth is that we don't have any boundaries
Right.
for education kinds of groups. We can extend this to anyone, anywhere.
Okay.
We're not providing treatment, we're providing education.
Right.
So we can go beyond our boundaries in Maryland, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, did I leave anything out that you want to share? What did I forget?
No, I think we covered.
We covered it all. Okay. Do you mind sharing one more time the information for Mission Wellness? So how people could find you?
Yes. So if they go to our website, it's mission-wellness.com. That'll bring them to our website, and on there we have our email address that they can click on, and it automatically pulls up the email for them to email. It's easy. And also our phone number is listed on the website, as well as our mini wellness assessment. So all of those things go to our admin, Emily, who then can, contact you and help you answer any questions you have, or also get you set up for, any of the seminars or activities that we have going on.
Okay, perfect. Thank you both so much for joining me tonight for our Wellness Wednesday. And I look forward to maybe a hike or a yoga class, or maybe I'll see you on June 16th on preventing your brain from shrinking.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Join us.
Yeah. So thank you both so much. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you very much. Bye, Laura.
Bye.